Greetings and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Kiyonah. May you be blessed. The theme for today is Your life is your protest. Your life is your protest. Protesting does not seem to do very much good these days, in my opinion. So rather than protesting, I think it's a good idea to respond to the conditions of the world consciously, spiritually, passionately, actively. Protesting is good for raising awareness, but beyond that, you have to have action. And the Occupy movement showed us that. There was occupy your heart, occupy your mind, occupy everything. In order to really change society and the world, we need to literally and figuratively occupy everything. So after we raise awareness with protesting, what's called for next is action. Whatever actions you can find that would be effective in whatever it is that you're protesting. But if you would rather respond to life than protest so much, then what you simply need to do is action. Direct action in the choices that you make. And these choices are like constructive action that helps to build the new world. You know, by the choices you make, you can subvert or even topple paradigms in your own life, in the lives of people you know, in your town, in your society. You'd be amazed what you can do. Even children have shown the huge impact that they can have. And when you take conscious creative actions, when you collaborate with people, you are creating the new world that you want to see. You're actively creating alternatives to replace what needs to go. We can't just expect things to dismantle and unravel and not have something there in its place. And a lot of people will not make a switch until there is an alternative in place. And you can do the world a favor by looking for things that need to change and then creating those alternatives and offering them to people. And that is your protest. If you protest industrial agriculture and factory food production, then you can grow food in containers or in the ground, and that is your protest. If you don't like how your children are changing in public school, you can unschool them or get them into a private school, and that is your protest against mass public education. If you just hate going to the mall and you hate the consumer culture and so forth and so on, then you can shop on Etsy and buy directly from artists. And that is your protest against capitalism. If you're going to support capitalism, you're going to do it locally and person to person. You can use the written word, the creation of income streams, the design of new inventions, the writing of songs, the construction of buildings, the growing of gardens, the raising of children. We are co-creators, and we collectively create the overall collective reality, and it can seem like it's hard to have control over that, but any influence you can make is going to feel good. If you want to protest Babylon, protest mainstream society, protest the establishment, protest the generic white bread, cookie cutter, Martha Stewart, Disneyland culture, if you want to protest that, then let your life be the protest. Okay? And do that with creative actions and conscious choices. And that will make a huge influence on at least one person. I can almost guarantee it. No matter who you are, you can do something to occupy everything, you know? No matter who you are, even a child. Even somebody locked up in jail. Because we're all doing time, right? You can do your Vipassana in prison. You can have a positive influence on the other inmates. You can meditate and silently Om and raise the vibration of your cell so that it's a sanctuary and a temple. You can bless your food by chanting to it in your mind or your heart or your words and praying over it and raising its vibration and then eating it. You can occupy everything as your protest. You know, the world needs you to be conscious, to stand up fully present, and to make conscious choices and to be creative. We need you to act like you feel solidarity and support with people that are making those kind of choices. You don't just ignore it or criticize it or anything else or think it's weird, but you're like, wow, that's really awesome. I'm so glad you're doing that. I'm so glad you're growing a garden, homeschooling your children or whatever. You can share the messages by how you post on Facebook and stuff. Are you going to post with gratitude and positivity and hope? Or are you just going to be meaningless and irrelevant? You know, it can have a huge impact. The only reason that the establishment and everyone else has all this power is because too many people allow it. Either they consent by default to all these agreements, or they intentionally vote for it with their votes or their dollars. And a lot of people are just powerless. They don't even know that they're powerless. They've been dumbed down and numbed out for decades by public school and mass media and everything else. The pharmaceutical industry, the prison industry, all kinds of distractions, having to work too hard to survive, fighting various addictions, you know, all the systemic problems that impact us individually. So one person at a time, living their life as their protest, you know, one person adds up. 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. And if they're simultaneous in their choices and their actions, then that can create a landslide of change. Like when Jerry Garcia died and everyone floundered for the alternative, and finally the festival culture started really developing in America with the Lilith Fair and Bonnaroo and so forth and so on and Burning Man. You know, so enough people wanted that it made a landslide in our culture. So, you know, and this is a fun way to live. To live your life as a protest is fun. You don't have to give up anything you don't want. You only have to give up the things you do want to give up. You don't have to give up anything you don't want to give up. Just give up the things you do want to give up because you don't like it. It's not in alignment. You don't resonate with it. It's not who you are. It's not the world you want. Whether it's being grumpy in the morning and deciding that you're going to be less harsh, or thinking twice before you say no to somebody who needs help. You know, all these millions of choices can really make a difference in how kind and good the world is, and that is your protest against the lack of common human decency today. You protest by doing what you think should be done. I believe that's far more effective than talking to a bunch of people in Washington, D.C. or wherever who just ignore you and shut you out because they're not capable of receiving the information that you're trying to transmit to them. They don't want to hear it. They'll act like it's okay to tell them these things, but then they go back to their back rooms and do their deals and work things out the way they intended to in the first place. But they don't have any way to control what you choose in your life and your consciousness. So that's your protest. Anybody can do this by committing yourself to being an active participant in your life each day, by stepping up fully as a teacher, a healer, a visionary, a warrior, a conscious person, a social justice activist, just a lover of life. This generates quantum waves of consciousness, the 100th monkey effect, you know, the critical mass, you know, the landslide that's needed in order to cause that change that we're aiming for. And the Occupy movement really helped a lot of people to wake up. I don't know that it actually changed anything in the establishment, but it awakened people. It awakened a people power movement again, or empowered what was already there. It reinvigorated people to occupy everything. Not just Wall Street, not just business, not just whatever, but occupy everything. So, you know, the entities that we would want to protest have power because too many people allow it. And it's because they've been dumbed down, and they either feel powerless or they don't care. So, excuse me, the way you can protest that is by being aware and by making conscious, creative choices. You don't need money, you don't need a car, you don't need a home of your own, you don't need anything. You just need your mind and your heart working together to be in alignment with the world that you want to live in and the ideal self that you want to be. So this contributes to the 100th monkey, the critical mass, the quantum waves of consciousness that eventually do unravel and dismantle things. You know, this is the reality that I'm discovering right now, is that just because people protest and show in millions of numbers that they want something to be other than what it is, like they wanted Bernie Sanders to be president, it doesn't make a dang bit of difference. What does make a difference is living the people power revolution in your own life, living your protest through each choice that you make. So I just want to encourage you today to think about doing that consciously. Even write it down, or write a heart song about it, or make your own video about it, or post on Facebook about it, you know. And the more we have, the stronger the waves will be. So that's going to wrap it up for today. So remember to be beautiful, be free, and be true to yourself. Remember to be blissed and be blessed, and to be a blessing. And remember to take care and take it easy. And until I talk with you again tomorrow, namaste and blessed be.